At a time when the Home Ministry is mulling re-examining Ishrat Jehan case files, things have gotten murkier after Home Minister G.K. Pillai's allegation that he was bypassed by the then Home Minister P Chidambaram on the Ishrat case. An ex-Home Ministry officer, RVS Mani, claims he was harassed and even hounded. Barkha Dutt takes us through the details.
Ishrat Jehan case has returned to haunt the Congress. Revelations by former Home Secretary G.K. Pillai, who's gone on record to say that it was then Home Minister P Chidambaram who personally changed an affidavit on the Ishrat case to remove a reference to her, has created a political storm, with the BJP now gunning for the former Home and Finance Minister. Here's what G.K. Pillai said to NDTV earlier today. Mr. Pillai went on record to say that Chidambaram had bypassed both him, he was Home Secretary then, as well as senior officials of the Intelligence Bureau, when he changed an affidavit that had already been placed in the Gujarat High Court to remove a reference to Ishrat Jehan as a Lashkar terrorist. G.K. Pillai also told us that Chidambaram personally dictated and drafted the second affidavit that clarified that any information on Ishrat's Lashkar links could only be regarded as inputs by the Intelligence Bureau and not as conclusive evidence. Pillai told NDTV that it is a minister's prerogative to take a final decision, but now he must own responsibility for that decision. Remember, in the last 24 hours, Chidambaram has said that G.K. Pillai also saw the changed affidavit. Chidambaram has also given an interview to us in which he said he does own the decision, but other officials of the Ministry of Home, in other words, the then Home Secretary G.K. Pillai, were also party to it. Pillai is rubbishing this, saying it was Chidambaram's decision alone. Chidambaram has gone on to say that it's not relevant whether Ishrat Jehan was a terrorist or not. What is relevant is whether the encounter that killed her was genuine or whether it was fake, something that the Congress has long maintained. It's now become a huge political debate. Why were the affidavits changed? The BJP, of course, alleging that this was politically manipulated and the Congress was deliberately soft on a known terrorist, on someone with known terror links, something her lawyer has, of course, denied. Now, in another twist that is going to, of course, only increase the politics around this case, with, as we said, the BJP demanding action and explanation from the former Home Minister against the former Home Minister and saying the Congress must explain how this affidavit was changed. An undersecretary in the Home Ministry at that time, a man called RVS Mani, a bureaucrat named RVS Mani, has come to be at the center of this storm. Mani is the man who in fact wrote both affidavits. Affidavit 1 that referred to Ishrat as a Lashkar terrorist, and Affidavit 2 that described this to be a mere intelligence input that could not be treated as conclusive evidence. Now, RVS Mani has in fact told NDTV he was harassed, he was hounded, the CBI tried to coerce him into framing IB officials, and he's further gone on to in fact say that he almost wanted to leave his government job because that's how badly he was harassed. RVS Mani is also on record in the Supreme Court complaining about the SIT officer, the Special Investigative Team officer, Satish Verma, who interrogated him, saying that Satish Verma, this is RVS Mani on record in a letter, Satish Verma tortured me, he wanted me to implicate an IB officer. He's talking, of course, about Rajendra Kumar. Let me go across to my colleague Sunetra Chaudhary, who did speak with RVS Mani. Sunetra, we are accessing now both Mani's testimony in the Supreme Court as well as letters he's written talking about being stalked and continuously harassed. What did he say to you?
Well, what's very interesting is that while he put those letters on record, he still harbors that hurt and the torture and the harassment that he faced. When I spoke to him this morning, he was a little reluctant about coming out, but what he did say was that he had suffered immensely in the hands of those people who wanted him to give something a little more incriminating. In fact, he told us that he was now back in the government in the Ministry of Textile, but for a long time his application was for voluntary retirement. He also said that because of the kind of harassment that he faced in 2013, when his testimony became the scrutiny of the CBI. If you recall, at that time, Barkha, the CBI was trying to, their entire effort was in finding out what was the difference in the two testimonies that was filed by RVS Mani, and they wanted to know what made him change the testimony. And while RVS Mani has been on the record to say that it was all officials, it was all done in consultation, what he says is that CBI wanted him to implicate certain officials of the IB, and he says that he faced so much of a torture that he says that his parents were healthy, and despite that they died prematurely in the last 2 years because the kind of mental harassment that he faced. He also said that he wanted voluntary retirement but he didn't get it, and now he's back in the government.
Of course, at the heart of this entire storm, thanks, so are these two affidavits, affidavit number 1 and affidavit number 2. And basically, here's what happens between August 2nd, 2009 and September 26, 2009. This is how the affidavits actually change. Let's quickly run you through the changes in the affidavit. In affidavit 1, media reports are quoted to say that Ishrat was a woman activist of the Lashkar-e-Taiba. But by September 2009, affidavit 2 says media reports cannot constitute or be treated as intelligence inputs. Affidavit 1 quotes an apology by the Lashkar mouthpiece as proof of Ishrat's Lashkar links. Affidavit 2 says that intelligence inputs cannot constitute conclusive proof. Affidavit 1 says that the police action, this is of course the action in which Ishrat and her companions were killed, has already been investigated. Affidavit 2 says that if there is required to be another CBI probe, the government has absolutely no objection to the CBI probe. This is despite the fact that Affidavit 1 actually said that the Ishrat encounter was not a fit case for a CBI probe. So these are the big changes. One, of course, the reference to Ishrat Jahan's Lashkar links, which the second affidavit says IB inputs cannot be treated as proof, media reports cannot be treated as intelligence inputs. And 2, the big difference also is Affidavit 1 said there was no need for a CBI probe, this was not a fit case for a CBI probe, and Affidavit 2 was changed to basically say that the centre had absolutely no objections to a CBI probe.